Welcome back. First day of spring, and you can't tell. Chelsea, just who we're going to talk to in a second, just looked outside and started shaking her head. You know, when the real estate market does pick up in the spring, pretty historically, and, you know, I think it's just another attribute of things becoming new again. Nick and Chelsea Gerisilo join us from the Happy Home team with John L. Scott. And their team really works to educate potential first-time homebuyers with seminars and helping them really get a better grip on the market and the process of buying. Well, first, welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes, it's great to be here.
It's great to have you. And, you know, you guys are in that seminar world. You are teaching people face-to-face about what it takes to buy a house. What are some of the biggest misconceptions in the real estate market that you see now and that people are asking you?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that could obviously be a week-long topic in its own, but I guess relating just specifically to the home buyer classes, I think probably the two biggest misconceptions are, one, that it's difficult to qualify for a home loan. We have people that have been renting their whole lives in their 50s that are coming to the classes just because they think they need to have 20% down or they need perfect credit. And the other side of that, too, is that a lot of people think it's really expensive to own your own home. And the reality is, you know, prices right now are down nearly 40% in some cases from the peak. You have interest rates the lowest they've been since World War II. And so just this morning I was looking in King County, there's over 1,000 homes and condos for under $150,000 in King County. So that's, you know, around a $700 mortgage payment in some cases, you know, to own your own home. So I think that's probably the two biggest things that we walk people through and show them just how easy and attainable and affordable it can be to own your own home.
It is, you know, that rent versus own comparison is something we've talked about. And you almost can't hammer on it enough. Because every time you make that rent payment, it's kind of back to that old school way of thinking. I mean, now you really are making somebody else's mortgage payment. And even without big appreciation, if the payments are the same, you're getting nothing out of rent, but you're paying down your loan, you can get tax deductions. I mean, those are big things.
Yeah.
Are people seeing that in your seminars, or is that something that you're kind of bringing to light?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing that we go over is, you know, the differences of renting versus owning. And so we kind of touch on two sides of that. One, of course, is, you know, the financial side of that, you know, all the tax deductions that you get, any appreciation that you have. You know, when you sell the home, you could get to be exempt from capital gains, you know, up to $500,000, for instance, if you're a married couple. So it's a great way, obviously, to build wealth over the long term. And then there's, you know, some other intangible sides of that, too, just the pride of home ownership. You know, it's yours. You have your own slice of the pie. You know, you can have a dog if you want, or any improvements you make, you get the upside of that.
You can paint that wall orange or yellow or green, and your landlord won't get mad at you after you move out.
Tangerine Tango.
Yeah,
2012 year color of the year. I said that's another story. The people who listen to us all the time, they know what I'm talking about.
Tango.
We have a gal who is an interior designer that comes on, and she has her own paint line, and
that's the hot color.
It's like the color of 2012.
Sounds like a nail polish color.
You know, probably started that way. Colors start small, right? And then they just grow and grow until they're the color of the year.
Yeah.
Anyways, so talk a little bit more. I mean, you know, these things you can do to your house. People who buy a house, I mean, if you're sticking with them, they're typically happy they did it, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's you know, it's kind of the American dream, right? Is being able to own your own home. And so, you know, that's a big part of where we do these classes to just, you know, walk them through that educational process. And we've been doing them for about 15 years now because they just, you know, but prior to 1996 in Washington State, there was no such thing as buyer representation. So now the buyers have that representation. They can get that education, that guidance, someone to walk them through all that. And yeah, I mean, once they're in, they can, you know, maybe they're there, they sell it when the market returns, or they keep it as a long-term rental. I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities that open up.
What are some of the things you guys teach at your seminar?
Well, you know, we also team up with, you know, a lender, and usually that starts off, we kind of walk them through the financial side. So, you know, what is your credit score made up of? You know, what kind of loan programs are out there? You know, show them some of the different options. You can still get, for instance, homes with zero down. You can get a USDA loan. It's, you know, the same government agency that insures your beef will give you a home loan, or you can get a VA foreclosure with no money down. So a lot of these things that people just don't realize. So walking through the financial side, and then you know, I get up and kind of show with them a little bit, you know, some of the advantages of renting versus owning. So what the tax deductions actually look like on paper. You know, what the power of leverage that you get. You know, you can buy a $200,000 home with little down, and when the market goes up, the appreciation's on your $200,000, not on your small down payment. So there's a lot of different advantages there. And then we kind of give them a nice overview of where the market's been and where it's going. No one has a crystal ball, but what we do know is we're at historic.
We all know where it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, so we know we're at historically high affordability, and it's very rare that we have the stars line up this well for people. So,
do you see most of the misconceptions in the real estate market are on the financing side?
I think a lot of them definitely are. A lot of people think they still need it. They need to put 20% down now after what happened in the market and all the lenders are tightening things up. So now we need to put 20% down, or now I need perfect credit. And that's not the case. There's definitely many options out there that you don't need perfect anything, and we can make things happen.
I think another big one, too, is a lot of people feel like, on both sides, buyers and sellers, that they feel like the market's really slow right now. And the reality is the rate of sales is the highest it's been since 2007. Since before the market ever had its adjustment. So because we have very low inventory, the lowest it's been in 6 years, and the rate of sales, because of the affordability, are just steamrolling right now. It's like almost everything's multiple offers these days, it seems.
Talk a little bit about that home buying process for a first-time home buyer, because it is different. It's new. They're not as educated. Mm-hmm. How do you help people kind of navigate that home buying process, or what do you kind of open their eyes to?
Well, it's kind of, as you alluded to earlier, that people don't know what they don't know. And so, the idea of the class is whether someone's looking to do something right now or a year from now, this is the kind of the good first place to get started. Get that information so you know how to best prepare so that you're in, the ideal scenario. So the biggest thing ultimately is to try to help someone get pre-approved for a home loan, because that's the biggest driver, and the biggest thing that you can't really change is the financial side of that. And so if you're out driving around looking at homes and you have no clue, you haven't connected with a lender yet, you don't have an agent that's helping with you, then you could either be limiting yourself. You might qualify for a lot more home than you ever knew, or you might be, thinking you can qualify for way more than you ever could, and you're just spinning your wheels. So take them through the process of the class, and then ultimately at the end of the class, the goal is to have them sit down with our lender, do a one-on-one, review their credit report, take a look at their financials, and put together a good strategy from there.
Yeah, you don't want to be looking at $50,000 condos if you can be buying a $100,000 house. Like, why waste your time? It's just not worth it for anybody.
Right. Well, and on the flip side, understanding what that pre-approved versus pre-qualified, people, they think they are or they're not. It's not always what they even, a lot of times it's making sure that the money really will be there. Everybody's seen the nightmare of, on the flip side is only qualifying for the $50,000 or $100,000 place and putting a contract on $150,000 because there's a lender who said, "Oh, I'll get you a pre-approval letter immediately," and then that's who they think they should work with. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough situation for people too, the emotion of it at minimum.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like how you get you're pre-qualified for a credit card, and you really haven't been qualified yet. It's just saying that they'll look at your application. And so it's the same thing if someone goes online and fills out some application. They haven't really sat down, crunched up the numbers, look at your documents to confirm that. So you really got to make sure that they're thorough up front. So that way, like you said, you don't have that heartache down the road. Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to go to break. Thanks so much for joining us again, Nick and Chelsea Gerisilo from the Happy Home team at John L. Scott. When we come back, a lot of these are new strategies or new things people want to do, but sometimes people don't embrace them the way that they should. When we come back, we're going to discuss what's so challenging about having people like you embrace the new strategies or game plans that are available. My name's Ben Brashen. We'll be right back.